Hello everybody and welcome back to the next video in my Who Is series. And as always, you're joining me today to learn more about the theme behind the Spirit of the Day. And in so doing, we learn more about each spirit in turn, we improve our playstyles and enjoyment of the game, and ultimately, we become better spirits. Well, guys, it has been an age since my last video, and all I can say is apologies. Life sometimes gets in the way, in both great and not so great ways. And all I can say is I'm going to redouble my efforts to push out these videos much more frequently from now on. I've got a new video editor, which I'm planning to use and hoping that it will speed things up for me quite a lot. And lots of cool ideas to come. So stick with me, and again, apologies that it's been so long. But in an explosive attempt to return to form, we're going to be talking about our explosive spirit. You see what I did there? Hey, you see what I did there? And that is, of course, Volcano Looming High. Look at him majestically standing there like a lion above everyone else, seemingly with smoke coming out of its mouth. Is he smoking a reefer? Is that a ganja? I don't know. Either way, he's cool. Let's talk about him. Who is Volcano Looming High? Well, the key salient points, I think, would be incredibly powerful and incredibly offense-based spirits that does have absolutely no traditional defense whatsoever, has restricted placement of his presence, meaning he can only place presence in mountain ranges and that's it, and has this really strange mini game thing of self-destruction balanced with growth, and this causes damage. This really cool sort of, he's the only spirit I can think of that can choose to destroy his own presence. Why would he do that? To cause damage, but then how much, when? Really cool. Those are the main key points. A very fun spirit, and hopefully after today, you're definitely going to understand him better and want to pick him up. Let's talk about a spirit panel. Nice sound effect. I personally would have liked it slightly deeper. Boom, kind of thing, but hey, good enough. Right. A spirit of fire and earth stretching upwards to the sky, casting a long and dangerous shadow across the land. The deeper spirits of volcanism are too powerful and slow, too removed to respond to the invaders, but not so this one. It doesn't dislike humans per se, but neither does it have much use for them, so the Dahan tend to keep away from it as much as possible and will not quarry stone in its shadow. No chance! Of course, larger eruptions can impact a good chunk of the island, so they sometimes end up dealing with its temper whether they want to or not. Loads of flavor there, loads of theme. What can we take out from this? Well, first of all, this is a spirit which utilizes its innate power a lot and needs the thresholds to trigger. So he needs certain elements. The main two that he likes are fire and earth. A little bit of air, because, you know, throwing things into the air as volcanoes do, but it's fire and earth. So that makes sense there. Stretching upwards to the sky. Very true, very on point. First of all, volcanoes do that. They grow massive, right? They loom over everything else. But also, in this game, that's true too. There are very few spirits that like to have more than one or two presence in a land. Some, like Relentless Gaze of the Sun, which I really can't wait to talk about, but needs to be released in the digital edition. He's from Nature Incarnate. One of my favorite spirits, like stacks of 3. Some others as well might like that. This guy likes lots of stacks. You're stacking a Jenga, basically, tower of presence, if you want to. This obviously is thematic from a volcano point of view, but also plays in mechanically because it can affect the lands around him easier as well. And the humans thing basically is saying, look, he's not out and out evil to the Dahan, but if they're in his way, they're in his way. They will burn along with everything else. So they're considered collateral damage, okay? Cannon fodder. So Dahan beware. Set up, you place one of your presence and a bad land on your starting board in a mountain of your choice. So you first have a choice there, and then you push all the Dahan from that land to some other land. And you can beat either land, many lands, whatever, right? Remember, the bad lands increase the damage done to the invaders and the Dahan by 1 per bad land, okay? Now, the complexity, agreed. I think it is moderate. When you first pick him up, you're going to be, what? This is high, very high. You're crazy, guy. You're crazy. No, this is moderate once you get used to him. Summary of powers, completely agree. Full offense. Control and defense, very small. I think actually they're sort of baked into one, and I would look at them as such. And because he doesn't have a traditional defense, you have to use the control to defend with, but he doesn't really care about defense too much. Having said that, if you draft defensive cards, he can become a defensive towerhouse. The fear, underplayed. I think the fear is much higher. He has a card, which we'll talk about soon, which has conditional fear on it, but basically always generates you fear. And his innate, which you're always looking to generate, can generate you fear as well, outright. But the damage that he is doing will generate you fear. Now, depending upon how much you do, obviously that will generate more fear. But generally, your win condition is around about the terror level 2. You split to, you get it so that there's no towns or no buildings needed. Or, sorry, only buildings needs to be destroyed. And then you just aim for that. And you can do that quite quickly. So you tend to win quite early, potentially. Now, the utility, I think, is oversold. Yes, he has a good utility card, but it's not that good. Solo play, brilliant card. Multiplayer, it's not as effective. Not for you anyway, but very good for the spirit you're giving it to. But the other utility, I think, is he can be in a pinch on your board in a multiplayer game if you ask for his help within a turn or two in an impactful way. But I don't think it's this high. I would drop it down a bit. All right, let's talk about his growth options. So G1 and G3, these growth options I look at as his consolidation of power growth options. This is where, so first of all, he's got an attunement to the mountains. And with growth option number 1, he's not adding extra presence. He is happy where he is. So he's tapping into the core of the planet because he's got these deep roots in this mountain and he's reclaiming all of his power. He's gaining more power, harnessing the power of the core of the planet, and he's gaining energy from that. This is an incredible growth option. In many places, this would be outstandingly overpowered. Have a look at growth option 3. This is his, okay, I'm not reclaiming cards, but I can tap into the power of the planet deep down, use the subterranean channels that the magma flows through, the lava flows through, go along them, and turn up in a different mountain range, some like range away, some distance away. But I'm also being soaked in this deep power, this core of power. So I also gain a power card. I get to play an extra power card this turn, and I gain 2 energy. This, on so many other spirits, would be busted. Absolutely busted. It is pretty busted on him as well, but really cool thematic spirit growth options. This growth option, however, 2, is my favorite. This is his proliferation growth option. I love it. This is his, I like this mountain. I'm staying here. I'm rooting into this mountain, and this is it. You have to place it in the range you're in, and the mountain you're in, obviously. But then he doubles down, and he's happy. Presence tracks, okay. Very simplistic energy track. 1 through to 5, basically sequentially increasing with a earth between 2 and 3. Doesn't need huge jumps of energy because he gets big bonuses from G1 and G3, which you're going to be using quite a bit. So very simple there. You don't need to go too high on the energy track, in my opinion. The cards track, though, much more difficult. First card play and second card play, you have 2 spots between. 2 spots, fire and an earth. Then between the second and third, you still have another spot with air. And between the third and the fourth, you have a fire. So very delayed increase to the card plays. He does proliferate, so he can increase that speed quite faster there. But remember, he also has G3, which gives an extra card play. So bear in mind, when you're on 2, if you're picking G3 a lot, you are on the 3 card plays, which is the desired amount of cards, really, in this game. Really cool though. Now, special rules, a lot to talk about, but so thematic. First of all, mountain home. You can only place your presence in mountains. We've spoken about it. I think it's brilliant. How do you deal with the rest of the land then, though? So, as you tower over like a volcano, the landscape, you gain +1 range to all of your power cards if you have a stack of 3 or more presents in that origin land. That is brilliantly thematic, but also changes the game so much. Cards which have a range of 0, which are balanced as a result of it, now all of a sudden you can target a land 1 range away. Cards which have a range of 1 or 2 now have 2 or 3. This is brilliant and so important. But this is the really cool one as well. Very thematic. Volcanoes erupt and they collapse. And when your presence is destroyed, in that land, you deal 1 damage per destroyed presence to both invaders and to Dahan. Now, you can split the damage to the Dahan any way you want, but it needs to be done. So when it is destroyed, just like with normal, blight added, events or whatever, you are doing damage back. But his first innate power, explosive eruption, which is a fast power, in the land you are in, you actually you can choose to destroy presence. So it activates the collapse in blast of lava and steam, damaging that land. And subsequently, if you destroy 2 or more presents, 4 or more presents, 6 or more presents, or 10 or more presents, you activate these thresholds, assuming you have enough fire and mountain and air, etc. as needed, okay? All in all, this innate power is the volcano erupting with so much energy that it does damage to the land it's in, to the lands nearby, and to the lands nearby that if you've managed to trigger this 10. If you trigger this 10, the damage is this: 18 in the origin land, 8 in the adjacent lands, 4 in the lands adjacent to that, with an additional 10 fear and a further 10 damage to a land within range of 1 of the targeting land. This is insane. Yes, you're doing blight as well, but that's what happens. Amazing innate power. You use this all the time. This innate power is his regrowth. Slowly regrowing, just like the theme of a volcano does. 3 mountains, you add 1 of your destroyed presents. 5 fire, you add 2 of your destroyed presents, but back to your presence tracks. So it's a bit more delayed, but it's still there. And then these give you extra bonuses. 3 fire with a banked up energy of 2, you gain a power card. So you can see how you can gain a lot more power cards than you think. And you can then draft into maybe defensive options or other things. This is also a spirit with the energy he can get from his G1, G3 growth options, these ones here, and his tracks. He can easily glow mages, and this is another way to get those mages. Brilliant innate powers. Thematic as hell. Let's talk about his cards now. Finish up on those. So, Exaltation of Molten Stone is his joy of himself. He's passing that joy to another spirit because he's targeting another. And in a multiplayer, that's how you play it. But in the solo, you can target yourself. It's a 1 energy fast power with fire and earth and also moon, where you're splitting 1 energy per fire between yourself and the target spirit as evenly as you can, and that spirit gains +1 range with their powers that originate from a mountain. Amazing card, especially lose on yourself. Lava flows, 1 energy slow power, range of 1, which is a range of 2 from a 3 stack or more, with a fire and earth again, which is what he wants. Choice card. I love choice cards. And this basically says you're doing damage or you're setting up to do damage, and then you're blocking that land from having invaders come onto it. It's also thematic. Lava flows in a land, bad lands, and it's then wild. Brilliant. Pyroclastic bombardment. Well, I wonder if this is going to be damaging. Of course it is. It's 3 energy though. It's fast. It's got all the elements he's looking for. It has to be from a sacred site, and it ranges up to 2. But this is again range 3 now from a 3 stack or more, and it damages 1 to every building, including the Dahan. It does 1 damage then of your choice to any invader, and then 1 damage to the Dahan again. So here you have to kill off a Dahan, but then you have a choice of damage spread. Brilliant card, so powerful. And finally, Rain of Ash. This is the control/defense card. Very thinking man's card. I love the art. Look, she's got ash in her eye. They want to leave. This very somber picture. All the elements you're looking for. 2 energy, slow, range of 1, going into a range of 2. If you target the land with invaders, this is the conditional fear. But you always target the land with invaders, and you always get 2 fear. If you don't get the fear. But you always target the land with invaders, and then you're pushing the 2 Dahan and 2 explorers or towns to lands without your presence. Now remember, at range 1, this is pretty good, but at range 2, you can target a land which is further away, bringing the explorers or the towns closer to you, and pushing the Dahan to safety. Amazing card. So a really, really thematic spirit, powerful, majestic, Jenga building presence that damages his own presence. How are we going to deal with this? How are we going to do this? Well, let's find out. Okay, let's do this then, shall we? Let's try and get ourselves a nice, sexy victory with Volcano. Board C. Whew, this is going to be tough. Okay, where are we going to start? I think I'm going to start over this side. I want to have access to the edge cases. Okay. Ooh, jungles. All right. So first of all, I can immediately say to you that this is probably going to be the one that I'm going to let blight and let grow up and build up because it's in range of both of my mountains within one, whereas this is range 2. So I'm going to proliferate, and I'm going to now, because I've got a 3 stack, this becomes a range 2. I'm going to move these guys somewhere else. That's my plan. So I'm going to play that card, finish playing. I'm not exploding. It gives me the option to explode. I'm not exploding. And I'm going to finish. And let's see what happens. Okay. So they build. Sands is next. Okay. So I'm going to affect this. I'm going to move this guy into this land here. Maybe we can defend it. Maybe we can't. And this may become my next area that I will let blight. So I'm going to move them all into there. Because it's 1 range away from my mountain. Now I'm going to see if I can gain a power card to help defend this eventually. Or defend this now. I might just let this blight. Who cares? I'm going to now expand underneath the subterranean channels. And I'm going to expand to this land here. Because I want to be able to affect here. Okay. I'm going to gain a new power card, and let's gain a minor, and let's see what... We have got a defend. We actually have a defend. So we're going to take this. I could mesmerize here, which would do 1 damage, which would not be enough. Or I could defend there as well. Mez is a 0, and does have a mountain. This has an air. Ooh, choices. I'm going to go for the defense option. And then we're going to... Let's see. What are we going to do now? I'll probably set up for a following turn. So we're letting this ravage. Okay? And now I'm going to be setting up to... Well, technically, actually, let's think about this. I could... Now that I'm going to be replacing one of my destroyed presents, I could destroy 2 presents here. I only need to destroy 1, but I could destroy 2 presents here, then affect this land and destroy here and here. So I can destroy 2 towns. That's what I'm going to do. So this is going onto me to get more energy back. 3 because I've got 3 fire. Now I'm going to destroy 2 presents here, which is more than I need, more damage than I need to kill this town. But because I've generated this top threshold, I needed to trigger it with 2 presence destruction. Now I target this land and kill this, which means this no longer ravages and causes blight. Okay? The reason I did that is because I realized I'm going to be replacing my destroyed presence. Now, what is this nonsense? Remove 1 beast, add 1 disease, discard the top minor power. If it is fast, add a blight. Great. Invaders and Dahan have -1 health this turn. Well, that's not great. Add 1 beast for animal. I don't have any animal, and I don't have enough. I do actually have the energy for it. But I'm going to go with the top one and hope it's slow. Hope it's slow. Hope it's slow. Add a disease. Where do we want to add a disease to? I could go there and stop that from building, but I think I'm going to double down in... Where do I not want them to build too much? Here, because there's going to be a blight. So let's put disease there. It's a slow! Fantastic. That doesn't do anything. Excellent. Each player adds... Oh, excellent. So I'm going to add this to this land. Nice. So nothing happens there. Beautiful. See, that's why I added it there. So now this is not going to build. So we can now affect this land and kill this off straight away. Or we can put a Badlands in this land, meaning that when we need to do damage, we'll be able to do even more damage. So in this land, we'll be doing maybe 3 damage, which will be enough to destroy these 2. But I won't be able to affect this unless I do Pyroclastic Bombardment, in which case I could potentially win the game. Okay, so we'll set it up that way. So we'll add this in. Now we're going to add a... We're going to add it here. Yes. I'm going to pay 2 energy to gain the power card. We're going to get a miner, and we want one with fire and mountain or whatever we're lacking. So at the moment we've got 1 fire, 1 mountain. We can gain an extra mountain, so we probably want the fire. Is that right? I think that's right. So we'll go with this defensive option, which is pretty cool as well. All right. So now, let's see if we win. So we can double down and put presence there, which is probably a good idea. Or we can do this play here. Now, technically, in the Ravage phase, this will die. But there may be a way to just kill it now. What we need to do is, first of all, how many fear away are we from winning? We need to generate 8 fear. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need to generate 4 more fear. This is a 5 fear. If we could generate fire, fire, mountain, mountain, and do a 4-stack destruction, then we can do it. Can we generate fire, fire, mountain, mountain? Yes, we can. Okay, so I think we've won the game. So, we're going to do fire, fire, mountain, mountain. Everything is now triggered at that level. We need to destroy a 4-stack here, and we need to destroy this. Hey, I think we've won. So, this is going here. Can it reach there? It can. Why? It needs a 2-stack to do the damage from. But I've got a 3 or 4-stack. So, 1, 2, and then it increases the range by 1, remember? With the volcanic... What is it called? Volcanic Peaks Tower over the landscape. This here. So now I have a 3 range. So I'm targeting here. I'm going to kill this town off. Then I could have just defended that, but it doesn't matter. I'm not doing that now. Then I'm going to put a defense on, who cares, this land here. All right. Now I'm going to blow up here, all 4. I still have 1 left. This will now kill everything here, but it will also do damage in this land, and it will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is enough to generate the fear that I'm looking for. And I generate fear by killing off 4 of my stack, and I have no towns and cities left. Hey, Volcano Looming High. So you're going for that victory condition, win condition, level 2. And, okay, look, yeah, we've got explorers on board and stuff, but whatever. And we've only got 1 presence left. Now, that was an interesting game because that's not an easy board. That's board A, which is split amongst 2 different areas. Usually you want boards with like a centralized mountain. Like I think board E has got a centralized mountain and some of the others. Anyway, but we still managed to succeed. And as you could tell, it was something that we had to do a little bit of calculation for, but when in this game do you not need to calculate? And all we needed to know is, did we have enough presence, and did we have enough way to kill our presence so that we don't lose our last presence, and we affect the lands we want to affect, and generate the fear we want to. And then we met our win condition, and there we go, we got the win. So I think he's a fabulously fun spirit to play. I think he's really, really enjoyable. He's got a lot of theme, a lot of flavor to him. give him a go. Try him out. Strengths and weaknesses. First of all, strengths. He is absolutely one of the most powerful spirits and one of the most offensive spirits in the game. Offensive base spirits. If you like offensive base spirits, pick this guy up. The more you play him, the more you'll realize he can do small damage here and there, but as the game scales later, you can just aim for that huge big stack of destruction, and you will always have fun with this spirit. His damage, as I said, can be high from the very get-go, but also scales later in the game. That's important to note. Because he's got a restricted placement, I think in some ways this simplifies the puzzle because you can only put it in certain areas. So you're focusing the puzzle element into those areas, which is really, I think, a strength. He has some of the best and most fun special abilities in the game, and they're so thematic, and they go hand in hand with his innate powers. He has an incredibly fun innate power, which once you start to use it, if you want to go for that meme one where you're destroying 10 presence discs, go for it, have fun. And he has a really good ability, I think, to be helpful in multiplayer settings. Much more so than you think at first. He is very helpful, and he can arrive in a pinch and be impactful on the land you want him to be. You just have to give him a bit of a heads up. Weaknesses, however, look, his range and his accessibility, especially when you start playing him, can seem unsurmountable. It's quite difficult to understand how to do the range with him. But once you get there, and once you understand that you're always getting that extra range bonus and so on, you know, that's really, really, really where it comes down to. No traditional defense. If you are a defensive-minded spirit, this is going to be a challenge for you. Having said that, though, the caveat is if you draft defensive cards, and we did in that, we drafted 2 defensive cards. Now, we actually didn't end up using either of them in any of the ways we would normally, but we could have gone with a counter-attacking game where you become basically a huge tower that spans over the land, has lots of range, and just defend. It could be really, on a dime, you can turn it and you can have a very different playstyle. Early in the game, I think in a multiplayer game, you could struggle a little bit with energy, but that gets alleviated. So just bear that in mind. Just a little slight thing to notice. You must understand how to balance between destroying your own presence, growing it back, and when to grow, when to destroy, etc. It's a mini puzzle which is incredible. It's an amazing mini game within this puzzle, and it's important to get to grips with. And I think really importantly, and finally, he is obviously very harmful to the Dahan. You could see we were not trying to save the Dahan. The Dahan may have died around us. We don't care. Like in that last play, we just killed one of the Dahan off. It doesn't matter. You can try to move them and try to save them as much as you can. In the multiplayer games, you can move them into different lands and different boards. But really, if they are in your way, you're going through them. But he's so much fun. Give him a go, pick him up, and I hope, if nothing else, you've enjoyed this demo, you've enjoyed this chat about Volcano Looming High, and I hope that you'll give this spirit a go. And all that's left for me to say is thank you guys for joining me for this episode, and I really hope you join me for the next one, which will be soon. Keep spiriting and keep saving the island, and in the process, I hope you can try to save the Dahan, even if you're an angry volcano looming high. Good luck, and God bless.